Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aagrant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report for Monday, January 15th. In our top story, parents of students preparing for the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination, referred to as the Common Entrance Examination, have been given directives on how special requests are to be made for children with learning disorders or medical issues. Last year, there were some 180 special requests. Education Officer Donna Roberts, speaking at a town hall at the Alexandra School over the weekend, spoke to the special request form, which must be filled out to stop children from taking the examination.
This is the form that is used if you want to request an exemption from your child taking the examination, okay? This is also the form you will use if you have any other requests. So there are persons who may want to request additional time. This is the form for you, the special requests form. Or any other requests you may have, this is the form for you. Again, you are going to provide the child's information, your information, and we have a box saying request. It is there you state your request. I'm going to ask you to be as precise as possible, but do not send a whole long paragraph or a whole page of text for me to have to read through to find your request.
Ms. Roberts says she has to read through the forms, and that's why it's critical that information be succinct.
And I get hundreds of requests. So if everybody sends a full-page document in that box that says request, you know I am forever reading just to find what you're asking for. So make it as precise as possible, all right? And do not state, my child has dyslexia, and leave it there. If you say that to me, what do you think is going to happen? Talk to me. What do you think is going to happen? Pardon me? What request? No request has been made, so therefore I cannot grant you anything. Okay? So you must say what you want for this child who has dyslexia. Are we clear on that?
The requests are vetted by the experts in a particular department.
The requests will go to the Student Support Services section where the senior psychologist and her team will read through all the requests. You must submit a report to validate the request. So whatever psychological report you submit or whatever medical report you submit, they are going to read through everyone and then make a determination.
Explain that the accompanying reports must be timely.
We're not going to send you to go and pay for a new report, but it must be no older than when the child was 8 years. Understand? Meaning the child should not have been younger than 8. All right? But for medical reasons, then we will need to stick to that 1 year timeline. Are we clear? You're going to affix your signature to the document and you submit it. Whenever you submit your forms, all submitted forms will go to the school. The principal will sign off on them and then they come to us at the ministry. Okay? When you submit your form, a copy is going to be emailed to you. And when the principal signs off on it, a copy will be emailed to you again with the principal's signature.
Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, 100 days since the war on Gaza.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.com.
Israel's relentless attack on Gaza continued with 125 Palestinians killed and 265 wounded over the past 24 hours, which marked 100 days since the war began.
Muhammad Abu Awida is walking through the remains of what was once his home. Each step is a search for a closure. He seeks a glimmer of his 3 children killed in Israeli airstrikes who are still buried under the rubble.
I come here every day, still have 3 children remaining under the rubble, Omar, Abdullah and Masa, and hope one can pull out their bodies or take a last look at their remains. But thank God, this is our fate, and we pray to God that we will be able to pull them out and see them.
The Palestinian Civil Defense says it has no resources to dig through the rubble and retrieve the bodies. Israel's war on Gaza has left its marks across the Strip. Al-Bureij refugee camp in central Gaza was home to 46,000 Palestinians who were already displaced before the war. Now, entire neighborhoods are destroyed. After 100 days of war, most of Gaza is in ruin. According to the United Nations, Israel's bombardment has triggered the largest displacement of Palestinians since a Nakba, or catastrophe, in 1948. People fleeing their homes have nowhere safe to go.
There is not a day that we do not move from place to place, from Deir al-Balah to Khan Yunis to Rafah. There are no goods, and there are no basic things needed for life. There is no life.
We wish to have better life conditions. We cannot find clean water or other necessities of life. This is utter humiliation, wherever you may turn your face. Children are the most impacted and we adults are helpless. We cannot help our children or even meet their basic needs.
As the war drags on, it's taken away their hope for an end to this suffering. People in Gaza feel forgotten and unsafe. They believe Israel's goal is to completely remove Palestinians from their land. The war that's been going on for 100 days has left many feeling like it will never end.
For analysis on the impact of the war has had on the citizens of Gaza after 100 days, here's the Commissioner General of the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees.
I think we are running out of words, but what's even more terrible is that this tragedy is taking place under our watch on a daily basis, and despite all the warning, all the qualification we are giving about this tragedy. Each time I come, I'm moved, for example, by the plight of the children, the number of children which have been killed, maimed, but also orphaned. Whenever you go to a school, the schools right now are completely overcrowded by people seeking shelter. The school should be a place of education, and the kids you find in the schools are just looking at your eyes and begging for a sip of water or for a loaf of bread.
And of course, looking for help from you as an organisation. Yet you at the UN have lost over 140 colleagues in the last 3 months. That must have seemed like an eternity.
This has been absolutely devastating. It is true also that this 100 days feels to be an eternity. But what I am also reassured is despite all the adversity we are confronted with, I find our staff very, very motivated, heroic, and committed to provide assistance. Today, as a UN agency, we are calling for an increase of trucks crossing into Gaza. We need meaningful assistance because as UN organization, aid will not be enough to reverse the negative trend of the looming starvation in the Gaza Strip. We need commercial to come in.
It's time to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. It's gonna be a marvelous Monday. Lots of packed information for you. We're gonna be talking to the Alliance owners of public transport. Yes, we're gonna be talking to them about a myriad of things impacting the sector. We're gonna talk about how the sector is gonna be moving into the renewable energy space as well. And you are also gonna get a chance to call and quiz those in the sector about some of the issues you find on the roads. Also this morning, we are gonna be having more about the Barbados Independent Film Festival. It gets underway from today. We're going to be having some individuals in to talk more about the wonderful films that will be premiering. Also, we are going to speak with the Black Arts Production Theatre out of the UK. Yes, we're going to have them in telling us all about their productions, connections to Windrush, connections to the Black people in the UK, and being able to tell their stories. Also this morning, cheerleading. Yes, we're going to have some happiness in the house. The Barbados Cheerleading Federation. They are going to be in to tell us all about the things that they have been up to. So stand by for this and more coming up on Morning Barbados. More news, sports and weather after the break. There's been a call for the National Council on Substance Abuse to create more drug prevention programs. That's the word from the Minister of Home Affairs, Wilfred Abrams. The announcement was made at the Christchurch Parish Church yesterday when the NCSA held a church service to celebrate Drug Awareness Month. Minister Abrams was not able to attend, so his remarks were delivered by his Permanent Secretary, Yvette Goddard, who said the NCSA, along with government, have been given a mandate to conduct more research to create more drug prevention programs throughout the community.
The NCSA has been mandated to conduct more local research on the drug phenomenon to ensure that we disseminate factual, timely information to all persons, especially our families, to equip them with the knowledge needed to make positive, healthy choices and increase productivity and economic prosperity. Collectively, we must come together and commit to being a positive part of the response to the strengthening of prevention against substance use, the abuse at an individual level, the abuse at the community level, the abuse at the national level.
Ms. Goddard also said there are plans on the horizon for the NCSA to create programs to help parents and families on how to deal with drug awareness, drug prevention, and substance abuse.
The NCSA is encouraged to develop and build more behavioral parent training programs, family skills training programs, increase in in-home family support activities, brief but effective family therapy, personal development and self-care coping tools, and family education. Research has proven that holistic family approaches have been more effective than child-only prevention approaches.
Organizers of Agrifest 2024 have confirmed the return of a number of events for the local exhibition. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says they include the dog show, a favorite with patrons in the past. It's among the modifications being made as plans progress for the staging of the event from February 23rd to 25th in Queen's Park.
The Friday, we plan to have now another show, which is a reggae local artist show at the same time. And we also bringing back some of the events that we had before, like the dog show. They're going to be back on, and hopefully we'll be able to get the steel shed where we can have back the bird show at the same time too. At this time we have 180 exhibitors, and of course we also have interest from Guyana. Actually it's larger than last year, and also too we have interest from Suriname also too, and we do have some indirect interest from Jamaica.
Mr. Paul was speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of a training workshop for local livestock exhibitors. He explains the aim is to improve the performance during competitions, which continues to be a major attraction for patrons.
At these meetings is to give tips to the farmers as to what they need to do, so that, for instance, when they bring the animals to Queen's Park, they're actually better prepared and they're in a better position to actually perform better in the competitions at the same time. Like for instance, the grooming of the animals, ensure that they are groomed properly, the handling of the animals, the fact that they need to ensure that before weeks prior to the actual show in itself, you need to go through some training drills with the animals to make sure that everything is in order. And of course, we have the opportunity to actually interact with the judges to find out from the judges' point of view what they are looking for at the same time.
Amid a spike in homicides in the Bahamas, citizens are not only frustrated, but are telling the government enough is enough. A government minister, in the face of calls for capital punishment, says it's unlikely executions will happen anytime soon. Our news report.
The calls for capital punishment is an unrealistic one, according to Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin. Hannah Martin says the jurisprudence has changed.
It's the go-to at times like these, and I think even the Prime Minister in Jamaica gone to that. The reality is the jurisprudence is making it more and more unlikely that you're going to see executions anytime soon. I have to be realistic about it. I mean, I could join the bandwagon, make everybody feel happy, but I'm not that type.
The calls for capital punishment again resurfaced amid a spike in homicides. During his sermon to the judiciary at Christchurch Cathedral, the Very Reverend Harry Bain said he does not support capital punishment, but that the Bahamas is in a crime crisis. Hannah Martin said we need to find out what is causing the level of crime we're seeing.
Our children, these are other people's children. Our children coming through our school system and living in our communities. And it's all stakeholders. And I think that we should be more realistic about what needs to be done, because on that issue, I don't think, based on the history of it, you're not going to see it happen anytime soon. So then if that's not going to happen, what are we going to do?
During the opening of the legal year, many called for an all-hands-on-deck approach to crime. Hannah Martin shared the same sentiment.
We're concerned, very concerned, but I am also very hopeful that if we put our heads together and we collaborate and we do what needs to be done, particularly in what we're doing here in Ministry of Education, that we can shift the paradigm in this country.
New dress code policy for visitors and clients to government offices is now in effect across Trinidad and Tobago. Minister of Public Administration, Senator Alison West, explained the changes to the policy during a media conference. TTT has the story.
From Monday, January 15, 2024, there are new rules which will apply to what the public and where to visit government offices.
We have had a checkered history with respect to our dress code. There have been issues that have arisen. Traditionally, there has been no uniformed policy in respect of the dress code for members of the public seeking services out of government offices.
Minister West notes more than 400 frontline staff members from government entities in Trinidad and Tobago have been trained to apply the new dress code.
This policy is for government offices. So government venues that are not offices are not covered by this policy. This would include schools, hospitals, police stations, health centers, community centers, sporting venues. All of these things are not covered by this policy.
The Public Administration Minister indicates there is also another category of government agencies which will not be affected by this new policy.
Courts have their own requirements, as do offices like the immigration. Anywhere you go for a government picture, there are specific rules that apply to those. So licensing, if you're going to take out a picture for your license, the Immigration and the Election and Boundaries Commission, there are special rules that apply to those, as there are special rules that apply to the court.
Meanwhile, member of the Ministry's Modernization and Service Improvement Delivery Division, Colleen Galaxy, had staff members model the appropriate wear for the new dress code.
Cover up the body, the chest. Sleeveless clothing is permitted. Please ensure that your lower body covering, if you can come to the center, please ensure that your lower body covering is not higher than mid-thigh. Yes. Wear appropriate footwear to prevent slippage and falls. All of these displays are now permitted within government offices.
According to the policy regarding facial coverings, including masks, face shields and hijabs, individuals may be required to remove the mask or face shield briefly to confirm identity. In the case of hijabs, individuals will be checked in a separate room.
St. Lucia's Ministry of Infrastructure is undertaking to replace thousands of high-pressure sodium lights with LED lamps. It will see lights being installed in areas which did not have street lights in the past. DBS Television reports.
It has been 6 months since the beginning of the installation of some 24,000 new LED street lights with surveillance cameras, which are meant to assist the police force in the battle against crime. Minister for Infrastructure, Stephenson King, had made the announcement in 2023 that these new lights would not only aid in stopping crime, but also cut on the amount of energy used by the former high-pressure sodium system significantly, thus resulting in the state saving money. However, several citizens have noticed that the new LED lights are in many cases significantly dimmer than the previous orange ones, even causing dark spots in certain areas. Chief Electrical Engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Shane Shah, announced that the ministry is aware of the situation and currently working to mitigate the problem. He explained that the high-pressure sodium lights had a 360-degree blast. However, the new LED lights are directional,
We've been getting a lot of calls concerning this, right? While it may appear that the lights are a bit dimmer, that's the main problem. You see, with these LED lights, you find more dark spots. Now, we are going to address that. You see, what we are going to do after the initial phase of the project, which is basically to remove all the high-pressure sodium lights and replace them with LEDs. What we are going to do is to pass back, right? As a matter of fact, we have started that in the northern part of the island already, where we are going to install lights, additional LED lights to address these dark spots.
Furthermore, there have been several communities and areas in St. Lucia which were never illuminated by street lights due to the fact that the areas were no low tension, meaning that the sub-distribution lines or 11 kilovolt lines in the area did not meet the 240 volt requirement to energize the street lights. She explained that the ministry is working to rectify this issue.
There are a few areas in St. Lucia, for example, between the Belvedere canneries and the Katshime area. Also, I think the Winroad Road is like that, and there's an area by Motet Choiseul, where you find that there's no low tension, and for that reason, we have never had street lights in that area. So, in the process of installing additional lights, what we've also done is to engage Lucilec so that they can install low tension in that area, and we can finally illuminate these sections of St. Lucia.
From August to December 2023, the government has installed over 14,000 LED bulbs around the island. Nearly 17,000 LED lights are expected to be installed by the end of March 2024, according to the ministry.
Donald Trump is ahead of his Republican opponents on key measures of popularity, while U.S. President Joe Biden's job approval rating has hit a new low, according to a new poll. The findings from an ABC News Ipsos poll published on Sunday came a day ahead of today's Iowa caucuses as the 2024 race to the U.S. presidential elections speeds up.
There has been a brand new poll. It's an NBC Des Moines Register poll. That's the one everyone really looks forward to when these, just before the caucus day. It's the last poll to come out, and it shows that the race has changed just a little bit. Donald Trump is still way ahead of all of the others in that poll with 48 percentage points, more than the next three candidates combined. But Nikki Haley has surpassed Ron DeSantis. She's getting 20 points in that poll. DeSantis is getting 16. He had previously been in second place. And then Vivek Ramaswamy is a distant fourth at 8%. So this is all about expectations. So if Nikki Haley can improve her standing compared to Trump, she can at least beat expectations. And if Ron DeSantis can defy those polls and leapfrog Haley and do well, he would be exceeding expectations. And it's a little tough for Donald Trump, although he's so far ahead. If he doesn't beat the other candidates by a huge margin, it will be considered a disappointment for him. And then, of course, there are usually three people who come out of the Iowa caucuses. That's the conventional wisdom. And in this case, it is expected to be Trump, DeSantis, and Haley, not necessarily in that order. Then they go on to New Hampshire and South Carolina and Nevada. But Haley is really set up to compete in New Hampshire. Her home state is South Carolina. For DeSantis, he really has to show a strong performance here. And that's reflected in where they have been appearing in the past 24 hours. Donald Trump is now speaking right now in Indianola. Nikki Haley is appearing in Dubuque today. Ron DeSantis had 4 appearances in 4 cities. We've just been told he canceled the last one of them. But they're really campaigning hard, despite the fact that it is a frigid negative 22 degrees Celsius right now.
Yeah, about that. The weather is always something that the campaigns look at on voting day or caucus day. I know it's very cold, as you said, where you are. Is there any understanding that that could affect either turnout or results?
Yeah, it probably means only the hardiest people are going to get out there and vote, and they will decide. And we've already had a hint today that some of them might be Trump supporters. He had a long line of people outside that Indianola appearance waiting in the cold. It's going to get down to negative 28 degrees. So there are going to be people who have to brave the cold on Monday in order to get there. A lot of Trump supporters are also in rural areas. The roads aren't necessarily paved as well. They have a farther distance to go. So there can also be a challenge. And with Trump being so far ahead, it's possible that some of his supporters might just say, hey, why should I go and vote for Trump? He's going to win anyway.
In sports, West Indies wicketkeeper batsman Joshua De Silva is hopeful for a better result in the upcoming two-match test series against Australia, which is slated to begin on Tuesday. The visiting Windies side suffered a whitewash against the Pat Cummins-led side in the last Australian summer, but De Silva says they've learned their lessons and have improved to hopefully produce a good performance in the test series. The regional side have called up 7 uncapped players for the upcoming series, as only 4 players since their last tour to Australia late 2022 are part of the squad. Despite that, De Silva, who scored a century in a warm-up match against Cricket Australia 11 last week, remains confident of their chances.
Last year, and we're here to try again. We're going to give our best effort. We have a few new faces, so it's going to be a bit of new blood coming in. Just really looking forward to it. I know the boys are excited. I'm definitely excited, ready to go.
You mentioned the new boys, like you say, a lot of new faces. How keen is everyone to impress?
Definitely, everybody's really keen. 7 debutants, 7 uncapped players. So, yeah, everybody, if they haven't gotten a taste, they're really ready to go get a taste of it. So, the mood in the camp is great.
The situation of having multiple uncapped players in the squad is nothing new to West Indies, as they've averaged 1 debutant every 2 tests in the past 5 years. Meanwhile, the visitors added Brian Lara as the mentor of the team for the series, which should give them some confidence. De Silva mentioned that it is a new era and the team is looking forward to creating its own brand of playing.
That's always a goal. Each and every one of us here are looking forward to making West Indies a winning team again. That's the main goal we have. We talk about it every day, about getting back to those days, but it's a new era now, and we're just looking forward to making our own brand and playing that brand of cricket. And the knowledge he has is second to none. What he's done for the game, what he's done for West Indies cricket on its own. Yeah, just have him around, just his presence alone speaks for itself.
Is set to start on Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. Barbados time. It's time now to see what the weather picture is like on the outside today. The barometric pressure stands at 1014.7 millibars and the temperature 25.5 degrees Celsius. The humidity is some 78%, with the winds coming from the east at 32 kilometers per hour. It's presently fair. The seas are moderate in open water, with swells ranging from 1 to 2 meters and increasing. The tides, the first high tide is at 6:22 a.m. The second will be at 6:58 p.m. The first low tide will be at 12:30 a.m. and the second low tide at 12:43 p.m. The forecast today, partly sunny with a few brief isolated light showers. Tonight is expected to be clear with cloudy periods with a few brief scattered light to moderate showers. That's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations on 100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM. Time now for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
And a merry Monday morning to you. Yes, no Monday blues today. Let's all get up, let's be awake, let's be alert, and let's have a great day. I'm going to have a great day this morning on the show. I have some good men alongside with me, and they're the ones who are probably going to be keeping smiles on your faces this morning when they get you to work early. If you get there late, don't blame them. We always blame them. Yes, we are going to be having the Alliance Owners of Public Transport in the house this morning. Not only are we going to hear from them, but you're also going to get to talk to them a little later in the show by calling 228-5562, 228-5563. Hopefully they'll respond to you honestly, openly, and fairly this morning. Now let's welcome Mr. Mark Haynes, the Director of Public Communications and Public Affairs with AOP. Craig Banfield, who is the Director of Complaints and Legal Affairs, and Calvin Scott, the Transport Energy Project. Good morning to you all, gentlemen.
Good morning, Wendy.
Now, let's get the ball rolling. Now, we're talking about an industry. You all transport thousands on a daily basis, and no area is without its issues. So if I'll go to you first, Craig, since you deal with the complaints, what are some of the major issues that are plaguing you all right now as an industry?
Some of the major issues that we are actually being plagued with through the public service vehicle sector consist of a lot of the operators not really, as you would say, toe the line. We have a lot of good operators within the industry. Not all are bad. There are a few what we call bad apples. So we need to get those bad apples being out of the system. Let's look at complaints. When we look back at COVID, during COVID time, obviously the complaints were lessened because a lot of persons were not working. And during that time period, we had issues, for example, or a lot of complaints in relation to the operators not wearing masks. Also not really listening to what it is that the COVID officials were actually wanting them to do during that time period. It was a period whereby I guess everybody was not really familiar with these kind of tactics or whatever the case may be. So it was very uncomfortable for them as well as anybody else to really adhere to. After COVID, it was an increase in ridership. But of course, during that time period, a lot of people were kind of apprehensive in terms of sitting down next to each other, being that COVID was in place. So you found that car sales increased a little bit. A lot of people bought a lot of reconditioned cars as well. And so as a result, to get back into that familiarity was very difficult at the time. So it brought on what we call dragging. And dragging is something whereby on a lot of the routes where there are a lot of vehicles, for example, Silver Sands, Jackson, where the excess amount of vehicles on those roads, dragging consisted of where the operators would space themselves out. So for example, if you see a van in front of you, they will hold back. And as they would take their time going to town, for example, and look through the gaps to see if passengers were coming through. And so it caused a lot of congestion. Correct, a lot of congestion on the roads. So dragging, uniforms, the operators not wearing uniforms properly in relation to the legislation, all these different issues that we are plagued with on a daily basis. Lewd music, for example, too, as well.
You'll get to that in detail a little later. Now, although you have issues plaguing you, there are also other issues which come and find you. And we would have unfortunately seen a death or two. We would have also seen some violence being perpetrated against some of your drivers. And everybody knows Van Wyck now. But those are things which also concern you, Mark, the safety of your personnel.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me, Wendy, this morning, and surely this with my distinguished colleagues. This industry is one that is a very dynamic one. It is one which offers a service to Barbados, and it really cannot be, you really cannot overly emphasize that it plays a major role in the landscape of Barbados's development and in terms of moving the nation's people. As you rightfully said, from the very inception, we are plagued with a number of issues, and no sector in Barbados is not one without issues, but we seem to have an enormous amount of issues with which to deal, some of which are beyond our control, and some that are within our control. So we're making a concerted effort to control what we can control. But ultimately what happens, we are dealing with human beings, all of whom are not trained and do not understand the dynamics of the industry. And we have some persons who are in the industry who do not understand their remit. But it is for the officials of our organization and our sister organization to try wherever practical / possible to ensure that those persons are in conformity with the rules and the regulations and so on. This is one of the things about which we all are concerned. And really and truly,
But the safety concerns,
But
that's what I want to know, what you're doing and how you're dealing with it.
From the perspective of, from what perspective? From the public?
From the terms of you all being attacked and assaulted whilst trying to earn a living. You know, do you think more vehicles need to put cameras in? Are you looking to train your people in self-defense? That's my area. Yes, we know you can keep us safe by driving better, but we're going to get to that recklessness a little later. But right now, it's about how is AR working to keep the people within its body safe, and even those who don't belong, right? Because you can't just be concerned about self. It's an industry, so we have to look at it across the board.
Right, let me address first and foremost the question of safety in a very holistic manner. We have urged the operators the owners of the vehicles to attach to their vehicles GPS systems so that when perpetrators attack the operators that would help the police and the security persons to catch those persons who commit atrocities against the workers and so on. And we had a case, excuse me, a few cases where some of our drivers were unfortunately attacked by thugs, rogues and vagabonds, and we cannot really have that, we cannot have that continue. Having the cameras aboard in itself will not just cause the issues to run away, but will help mitigate against the thing of the safety.
Because if I know that I try to take your monies for the day at, say, 7:30, when I know that man has been on the road from, say, 6:30 in the morning, you know, and I've been tracking him and I've not seen him made any stops to drop off that money, I know as a criminal I can get a fair amount of cash now because he's working a heavily laden route.
Yes.
So, but if I know a camera is in there, I'm going to think twice, you know? Yeah. And now speaking to these heavy routes, Kelvin, we have a situation where some routes are saturated. Craig mentioned it earlier, Silver Sands, Jackson, but I'm sure there are more of them that do have more operators than need be, whereas others have it hard to get home on evenings. Like say, for example, there are lots of vans going Jackson, but you don't have that many people going beyond there to Hillaby and some of those other further areas going into St. Andrew and so on.
Okay, well, that would really fall on. Okay,
Craig, you can address it.
Yeah, let me jump in here. I mentioned earlier about some of the heavier roads, Silver Sands and Jackson. There are also some roads, for example, Eden Lodge, Forge Road. These roads are, after 6 p.m., commuters are not able to get home. So, for example, they might have to go alternative, do alternative stuff in order to get home. So what has happened is that there needs to be a redistribution of the roads. Where it is that are heavily congested, some of those vehicles need to be taken off from that road and reassigned.
Have you written?
We have written, we have spoken to the regulatory authorities on that issue. Of course, we are not regulatory body, so we can't really do what we can only do what we can do. But however, let me go back also to what earlier what Mark said. Our association has also been pushing for cameras and GPS systems. We had discussions with various members of the that relate to those mechanisms, and we have also been pushing them through meetings.
Okay.
Various meetings that we've had with government officials and other parties and other things. And as such, we have found that some of the owners have adhered to that. And we think it's very important to have cameras and the GPS systems in place because it shows, just like Van Wyck, as from what we can see from that experience, it shows exactly what's happening within the van.
Okay.
And we continue as an association to push that. But however, reassigning those routes are very important. And we are also encouraging too that we have an initiative that the association is looking to introduce, which is Book a Ride. And this Book a Ride we've gone ahead and we've had initial discussions about it, and we're going to continue to look
this
to
is like
our
a
members.
PSV Ubering?
Yes, sort of like that.
Okay.
So
I can have, say, for example, a workspace, like say on the Harbor Road.
Correct.
And a number of the young ladies from that area who might live in close proximity of
Yes.
each other can go ahead, and we know, okay, yes, the 15 of us are going to be
Right.
able to fill that van. Oh,
Correct.
okay, interesting.
Yeah.
If I can just bring Scott in here, because he's looking to do. Okay, we'll come to Scott after the commercial break. We'll be right back, folks.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. There's a lot to talk about in terms of this transport sector, but I want to get to Calvin Scott now, who is part of the Transport Energy Project for the PSVs. So when we talk about energy and we talk about vehicles, most people think we're speaking electrical vehicles. Is that the direction we're going in, Mr. Scott?
Hopefully that's the direction we reach eventually. But we are also starting with other initiatives that would essentially reduce the fossil fuel emissions, whether that be maybe even taking stuff out of the trunk. That saves gas. We are also looking at a specific CNG project that we're working very closely with the MPC. And the association has been meeting with MPC of recent times. We've traveled as far as Trinidad to actually research the CNG project. We are in discussions with some manufacturers in Japan as it relates to buses that would eventually reduce the fossil fuel emission. So we've been putting in that work, all in an effort to reach the 2030 goal of Barbados to at least have fully electric vehicles on the road, or at least vehicles that would significantly reduce the fossil fuel. And you would appreciate that some of the challenges that the PSV owners actually have would be that of the diesel every day. Some PSV owners sometimes pay as much as $250 per day in diesel. And what we're trying to do is to educate the
And
owners.
you all no longer get the subsidized gas through the transport. Oh, okay.
Right. So what we're trying to educate the owners of these vans is going in the direction of having a vehicle. Now, we understand that it's going to be a big transition, but having a vehicle...
A costly one, too.
And a costly one initially, but eventually along the road, you would see all of the savings. So, for example, the typical vehicle for maybe one of these routes may very well run you between maybe $40,000 to $60,000, depending on the year of the vehicle. You may have to pay much more than that to get a fully electric vehicle or a vehicle that operates on the compressed natural gas. Now, what would eventually happen though over the years as an investment is that you will be saving this $250 that you're spending every day in diesel. That would be significantly reduced, perhaps by at least 75% if you go with the CNG, or if it's electric, it would just be a matter of the charging fees associated with it.
Okay, awesome. And I'm sure that AOP would look to install its own charging ports, etc., at high density areas in terms of where a lot of van traffic is, to be able to assist those guys along the way. Now, we're talking about assisting the guys, but let's talk about how sometimes the guys are not assisting us. We still have the violations. Stopping where there's no bus stop. We talk about the dragging already. We're not going to put that back in. Everybody wants to earn a dollar bill, but at whose expense? Because there are other road users. The speeds and the rate and dangerous ways sometimes that you pass each other out. The fact that everybody seems to want to go to the pump at the same time, and I can't drive in there to get some gas because they're making change. They're talking to the young ladies in the gas station. You're laughing, Craig, because both you and Mark know that this is something that's done. Why can't they just figure out that we need to stagger some of what we do and how we do it, because we're not the only ones on the road? Put you in the hot seat, Mark.
Of course, Wendy, there's no question about it. Let us not rehash all of this. Everyone knows what happens. We are not happy with...
But we want to start. Knowing it happens, it cannot be an excuse. We need it to stop.
I concede. But notwithstanding that, it is still we make our intention to ensure that those persons who are not in conformity with the rules and regulations, we are making an effort to have those people, as Craig alluded to earlier, have them out. Okay. It's not a question of just putting people out of work, because they have to look at the social side of things. It is a question of training. So training is an imperative for the organization. We are a proactive organization, not only an organization which carries a name, but carries a name with meanings, plural. And therefore, we had discussions with the Barbados, in the Ivy, the
Training Council.
Training Council at the Barbados Community
College.
Community College, yes. In an effort to try to bring the guys on board, thus ensuring that they understand, look, this is the business, this is not a player thing.
And you find that the training thus far is working?
No, it hasn't
started.
It hasn't been undertaken as such.
But what's been the uptick? When you all said to them, this is what we plan to do, was the interest keen, or most of it see it as a burden and a taking away of money?
The interest is keen with and among many.
Okay,
but we have to have what we have to call a national buy-in from the operators themselves, the owners and the workers. Okay. But it is imperative that the owners of the vehicles buy into it with us, because once they are on board with us, it helps us to help the industry and to mitigate against the things about which you have complained.
Because we can't be pulling in two different directions.
Exactly. So there has to be a cohesive national approach towards this situation. Okay. As Craig alluded to earlier, all of the guys are not bad, but one for us
is
too many.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
Especially when you say to them, well, I'm on the van, I have my baby, the music is a little too loud. But we have some calls on the line. Good morning. 228-5562, 228-5563. We want you to talk about what are some of your issues. And it might not all be issues, because there are ZR men who are very helpful to members of the public. They will get out, they will assist that old lady with the groceries, getting her into the van when she's in the van stand. We can't discount the good that they do. Precisely. So I'm not going to get here and flog you all morning long. My hands will get tired. But there are good things that they do. So if you want to talk about the ZR culture, what are some of the things you want to see change? Call us, 228-5562, 228-5563. Now, you mentioned something about putting people out of work. But I remember sometime last year, there was a complaint about not having enough drivers, and people actually sometimes having to split days and share a driver for two different owners and things like that. How are you looking to fill that void? You know, are you going to perhaps maybe link with the Drivers Association to see if they can train more individuals to drive ZR?
That is something at which we are looking. It makes a lot of sense to me, because if you have a deficit of that magnitude, it has to be filled. So therefore, that gap has to be filled, because the industry is about moving the nation's people, but moving the nation's commuters safely.
Okay.
And safety is the key word, and in a very safe environment.
All right.
And
just take a pause. We have a call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go right ahead, ma'am.
I haven't heard anyone address the music. The music is very bad. And whether the old people, children, or who on the bus is very disrespectful. This music is very vulgar, and it is very personal, mostly against women.
Okay.
And something ought to be done about it. It's get to the stage where it is unbearable.
Understood. Okay, Craig, let's hear it. You're the man for the complaints.
Correct. Yes, we have received a lot of complaints in relation to the lewd music. It's unfortunate that these operators that do play lewd music on the vans don't take into account that all passengers or commuters are not in favor of that type of music. Some of the complaints we have gotten is that commuters have asked them, the operators, to turn down or change the music, and they've been cursed.
Not only cursed, but told to get off if you don't like it.
Correct. And it's unfortunate, because here it is that you are providing a service, and as such, you have to take into account that those passengers are not all the same, and what you might like, somebody else does not like. So we have, when we receive complaints of such a nature, we tend to contact the van owners. We bring it to their attention that the operators are playing this type of music, and we're receiving a lot of complaints about it. We also report on occasion to the Transport Authority, who's the regulatory body that monitors, and it's up to them really to do what they need to do in terms of trying to curtail such music.
Because just now y'all going to get to the point where they're going to take back the radios, you know.
Well,
remember, that's the right that y'all fought for in court.
Correct.
Anyhow, we have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go right ahead, ma'am.
Hello?
Go right ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering why when you complain, you don't hear anything. Nobody take your number and call you back. This driver coming from 13 route to Busan, he was coming down the road and fretting all the time, saying he had his rims giving trouble the whole day. But he waited till like 5 o'clock to dump us by the hospital. I simply opened my mouth and said, wait, this is foolishness. You should have come off the road ever since. And he cussed me. I went and complained. A young lady came and took information, the van number and everything. But I didn't hear anything back from there. We should be hearing something. I figure so. And another thing is this is loud music. I got in a van Saturday in Oyston. The music was blaring. Normally they wouldn't put on the music until the van move off. It's smart. But I tell the conductor, ask him to lower the music. I don't know if he couldn't hear, because I believe he couldn't hear. The music was too loud, and I get off the van. Caught the same van now. I realized it's in the same van. When he coming back up now to Oyston, the music was lower nice. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You as well, ma'am. Mark?
Well, of course, we do not accept or condone any behavior that is unsavory. And of course, profanity on vehicles is a major concern. It must not be swept under the carpet. It has to be dealt with frontally. And it is the remit of the Alliance Owners of Public Transport to ensure that such is done. At the same time, Wendy, what has to be understood and very serious is that we are not the body which regulates. Only the body can urge, implore, and beseech.
Okay.
So when these things come to our attention, we have by extension to pass that information to the Transport Authority and to the police, whose remit it is to ensure that persons are prosecuted. Now, I would like to get
But you're also accustomed to the court now, it don't make a difference.
well, the court is now
The magistrates know y'all by name
The court is plagued with an
and van number.
you coming at me very rough. The court is plagued. The court is plagued with a number of issues in itself. So therefore, these matters are not expedited as they should be.
Okay.
I believe people should be. I do not always believe in total and full punishment, but people should be counseled. This is a question, Wendy. Let's face it. It's a question, one, of punishment. A question that people should be counseled. People need to be properly trained so that if that training is enhanced, it causes people to understand, well, look, this is an industry which has to change its ways. For instance, the minister, the substantive minister, is going back to the parliament sometime during this year, early this year, to the regulations. The regulation was an issue. The laws were there, but the regulations were not. And Mr. Banfield is an attorney, I'm not, but I'm not oblivious to what happens. But the regulations was one of the issues. And it's hoped that when she tightens up the regulations, that this will put pressure on the owners
To pull everybody
who
in.
by extension should put pressure on their employees to ensure that they're doing their own thing. But what I would suggest...
We're running out of time. I want to get Craig in quickly. Well, sorry, we have to wrap now, Mark. I really wanted to get in some more, but just to say, please find a mechanism to respond to the public's complaints, so we know that AOP is working in the interest of all. And here's hoping that the drivers understand the need to cut the emissions and that everybody will get on board with the energy program. Mark, we hope that these regulations come for you soon and that you don't say that I'm coming for you hard anymore, but when things are done, they're well done. I want to thank these gentlemen, Mark Haynes, Craig Banfield, and Kelvin Scott, for joining me this morning to discuss the ZR industry. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now for a news recap. Parents of students preparing for the Barbados Secondary School's entrance examination, referred to as the Common Entrance Examination, have been given directives on how to make special requests for their children with learning disorders or medical issues. Last year, there were some 180 special requests. Education Officer Donna Roberts, speaking at a town hall at the Alexandra School over the weekend, spoke to the special request form, which must be filled out to stop children from taking the examination.
This is the form that is used if you want to request an exemption from your child taking the examination, okay? This is also the form you will use if you have any other requests. So there are persons who may want to request additional time. This is the form for you, the special requests form. Or any other requests you may have, this is the form for you. Again, you are going to provide the child's information, your information, and we have a box stating request. It is there you state your request. I'm going to ask you to be as precise as possible, but do not send a whole long paragraph or a whole page of text for me to have to read through to find your request.
Ms. Roberts says she has to read through the forms, and that's why it's critical that information be succinct.
And I get hundreds of requests. So if everybody sends a full-page document in that box that says request, you know I am forever reading just to find what you're asking for. So make it as precise as possible, all right? And do not state, my child has dyslexia, and leave it there. If you say that to me, what do you think is going to happen? Talk to me, what do you think is going to happen? Pardon me? What request? No request has been made, so therefore I cannot grant you anything. Okay? So you must say what you want for this child who has dyslexia. Are we clear on that?
Are vetted by experts in a particular department.
The requests will go to the Student Support Services section, where the senior psychologist and her team will read through all the requests. You must submit a report to validate the request. So whatever psychological report you submit or whatever medical report you submit, they are going to read through every one and then make a determination.
She further explained that the accompanying reports must be timely.
We're not going to send you to go and pay for a new report, but it must be no older than when the child was 8 years. Understand? Meaning the child should not have been younger than 8. All right? But for medical reasons, then we will need to stick to that 1 year timeline. Are we clear? You're going to sign, affix your signature to the document, and you submit it. Whenever you submit your forms, all submitted forms will go to the school. The principal will sign off on them, and then they come to us at the ministry. Okay? When you submit your form, a copy is going to be emailed to you, and when the principal signs off on it, a copy will be emailed to you again with the principal's signature.
There's been a call for the National Council on Substance Abuse to create more drug prevention programs. That's the word from the Minister of Home Affairs, Wilfred Abrams. The announcement was made at the Christchurch Parish Church yesterday when the NCSA held a church service to celebrate Drug Awareness Month. Minister Abrams was not able to attend, so his remarks were delivered by his Permanent Secretary, Yvette Goddard, who said the NCSA, along with government, had been given a mandate to conduct more research to create more drug prevention programs throughout the community.
The NCSA has been mandated to conduct more local research on the drug phenomenon to ensure that we disseminate factual, timely information to all persons, especially our families, to equip them with the knowledge needed to make positive, healthy choices and increase productivity and economic prosperity. Collectively, we must come together and commit to being a positive part of the response to the strengthening of prevention against substance use, the abuse at an individual level, the abuse at the community level, the abuse at the national level.
Ms. Goddard also said there are plans on the horizon for the NCSA to create programs to help parents and families on how to deal with drug awareness, drug prevention, and substance abuse.
The NCSA is encouraged to develop and build more behavioral parent training programs, family skills training programs, increase in in-home family support activities, brief but effective family therapy, personal development and self-care coping tools, and family education. Research has proven that holistic family approaches have been more effective than child-only prevention approaches.
Organizers of Agrifest 2024 have confirmed the return of a number of events for the local exhibition. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, says they include the dog show, a favorite with patrons in the past. It's among the modifications being made as plans progress for the staging of the event from February 23rd to 25th in Queen's Park.
The Friday, we plan to have now another show, which is a reggae local artist show at the same time, and we also bringing back some of the events that we had before, like the dog show. They're going to be back on, and hopefully we'll be able to get the steel shed where we can have back the bird show at the same time too. At this time we have 180 exhibitors, and of course they're adding. We also have interest from Guyana. Actually it's larger than last year, and also too we have interest from Suriname also too, and we do have some indirect interest from Jamaica.
Mr. Paul was speaking to CBC News on the sidelines of a training workshop for livestock exhibitors. He explains the aim is to improve the performance during competitions, which continues to be a major attraction for patrons.
At these meetings is to give tips to the farmers as to what they need to do, so that, for instance, when they bring the animals to Queen's Park, they're actually better prepared and they're in a better position to actually perform better in the competitions at the same time. Like, for instance, the grooming of the animals, ensure that they are groomed properly, the handling of the animals, the fact that they need to ensure that before weeks prior to the actual show in itself, you need to go through some training drills with the animals to make sure that, you know, everything is in order. And of course, we have the opportunity to actually interact with the judges to find out from the judge's point of view what they're looking for at the same time.
And that's your morning news recap. Coming up on Morning Barbados after the break, we will be talking with DeCarla Applewaite and Sana Alsop all about the Barbados Independent Film Festival.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
You've just witnessed the trailer for this year's Barbados Film Festival. Yes, the Independent Film Festival for 2024. So if some of those images had you enthralled, then my conversation that's about to take place should have you even more enthralled, as DeCarla and Sana tell us all about what is going to be happening and some of the major films that we'll be getting to see premiered on the local screens. Okay, we're talking 6 days of fantastic cinema from across the globe. The festival Dakarla is now into its 8th year.
Yes, it
and
is.
Each year, we just keep seeing more and more and more opening up.
That's correct. And I mean, and from all over the world. I mean, this year we're so excited. We have films from Turkey, we have films from Iran, Australia, New Zealand, things that are like Aboriginal native stories, things from the Eastern Europe, UK, USA, and of course Barbadian filmmakers. So we're having stories, life stories, experiences told from personal experiences. And I mean, one thing about film you always think of is that it really helps us to visit the world with not even having to leave home. So that's what you can look forward to again for this season's film.
Which is awesome. If I can speak with Sana now, who is also one of the board members for the festival. Now, when it came to the creation of this year's festival, what were some of the elements that you wanted to ensure would definitely be a part of what was going on?
The main things, I think, well, obviously we're Barbados and having a really strong Bajan contingent in that. So we had quite a few amazing entrants. So we've got 6 Bajan films in this year, addressing really our themes of, adversity, resilience, change. And this year's theme is Films for Change. And I think just because of what's going on globally in the world right now, we really wanted to echo that sentiment. The films all talk about the challenges in their individual countries, and as I said, we have films from Iran, Turkey, Australia, England, and one of the films is that great British documentary which is playing on Wednesday, which really addresses this need for change.
Now, what are some of the areas that it covers in terms of subject matter? Are these plays that are going to leave us wanting Kleenex when we're finished? Is it going to evoke too much emotion in us in terms of raising up passions and anger about things that have happened to us as a people and to other peoples of the world?
Yes. I mean, I think yes. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want people to know what's going on in the world. Joan, the director of that great British documentary, she had a very difficult childhood. She grew up mixed race in a very difficult time. And then she talks about her experience through BLM. She talks about the word great. What does the word great mean in the context of Great Britain and colonial empires? And I think that's a really important dialogue, especially for Barbados. Right now we've become a republic, and we're still having that dialogue and that narrative. And I think it just really plays
because the
into
remnants are still there.
100%.
Yeah, the thing is about it, I think, is a different perspective of the diaspora. We always talk about going overseas. So it's like an extension of the Windrush age, because she's a child of that era, of parents of that generation, so to speak, and she's telling her story from a side we've never really thought about. We think you go and it's all this fantastic things that happens, but she really is talking about what truly happened. And her story is fantastic. She's Grenadian, British heritage, with of course some spice of Barbadian in her.
Okay, which we'll hear about, because the other thing we really focused on this year is being inclusive of all different kinds of storytelling. So there are many different ways to tell stories, and they're not just the conventional BBC way that you hear about in documentaries. And I think that was quite important. Like with Joan as well, it took her 8 years to finish this documentary, and the BBC came in the last year and completed it. And even the way it's told isn't your standard format.
Okay, so that's interesting, because we expect documentaries to follow a particular technical line. So to move away from that now, you're causing me to want to come out even more.
Absolutely, and I think I trained as a documentary filmmaker, and I know there's lots of different ways to tell stories. And I think we've always been so set, like you need to have the 3-part structure. You don't actually. And if you look at Caribbean culture and cultures from around the world, we have a very strong oral history and culture of telling stories, and that you can tell documentary through song, through poetry, through however you want to. And I think even the way you hold your camera, and there's many different ways to do it. It doesn't always have to be
linear.
So we're breaking out of the box all in all.
Yes, and I would also like to talk about on Friday night we have The Mighty Afrin in the Time of Floods. That's also a very interesting film because it's quite anthropological. and documentary. So it's someone playing a version of herself in real life. So again, it's again playing with this idea of how do we tell our stories.
It sounds as if I'm looking in the mirror, and the reflection that's in the mirror is what's telling the story for me.
Yes, yes, very much so.
You're actually going to be transcended, because the stories are things that you know about or have heard about, but it really takes you to be in that moment.
Yes.
I mean, our Saturday night film, which will be our red carpet gala film, Invisible Beauty by Beth Ann Hardison and Frederick Chang. We're going to be a gala, but it's all about fashion. And Beth Ann Hardison was perhaps one of the first women of color model.
I mean, and again, you know, to color, we talked about this when we got the film. I mean, not just a woman of color, but as they would say, black woman. She was representing, and she's been a beacon to models after her. And a lot of people don't know who she is.
Yeah, continue the activism. You know? I mean, she brought boundaries in it. And the fun fact about that is, if you remember Kadeem Hardison, because I think we would remember Kadeem Hardison from Different World.
Yes, we do.
It's his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, it's his mother.
Yeah. So the story is the story.
Yes.
If you work backwards, that story is a fantastic story, because it tells his story, but it also tells her story and what adversity she went against, and how she's grown from it, and how she has revolutioned the world.
Interesting. But along too with the films, you all are also going to be looking to impart the filmmakers with some more technical knowledge in terms of your workshopping.
So on Saturday, I'm part of Parachute Film Studios, and my partner Roger Moore, he's a gaffer and key grip, and very experienced, probably the foremost in the Caribbean, I think.
Yes.
He's actually doing a workshop on Saturday morning, the 20th, and it's Know Your Light. So literally, and it's so important again for anyone of colour to know where their light is, their key lights, like where we are right now as well. But and so it's really for people who are beginning and professional development people as well. So if they want to improve on that, they can play with the big lights. So he's got the very, very big lights, and he's going to break them out.
Fun.
And then in the afternoon, we've got Gary Swanson, who's running an acting workshop, and he's from the New York
Actor Studio.
Yeah.
So how many people is that open to?
Well, it's not very many, I'm afraid. It's about 30. So we've already got quite a push. We're trying to see if we can extend the numbers a bit, because there's been a lot of demand. So we're trying to see. And that leads onto a panel in the afternoon, an actors panel, which is going to be amazing, and that
Maybe
just
I'll
leads on.
ease in by coming to cover.
Yes, we can. Absolutely. But we'll see if we can do another day as well, because we thought it would be quite small, but we've been really surprised by the.
Yeah, and Gary's very interested.
Expect to have people who are known and
indeed,
free expertise, and people not want to be a part of it.
Yes.
And the other thing that you were encouraging us all to be a part of are some of your new venues. You're going to be moving it around. It's not just at the cinema, but you're going to be moving the actual spaces so that more communities can come and be immersed in these films.
Yes. So we are at the Barbados Museum, which is our home quintessentially. And of course, we're going to be having our Shorts on the Beach next Sunday at the Southern Palms Hotel. Very beachside, very much fun. But this year, we again are going down to St. Peter. So shout out to my northern people. We're going to Hayman's Market for Cine Cuisine on Thursday. It's fantastic. We're going to have the film Common Good featuring Jason Momoa, Donald Glover, sustainable food sovereignty, sustainable foods. The food market is going to be open. We're going to have lots of fun there. And then on Friday and Saturday for our matinees, we're going to be at the Pink Church, which is adjacent to Local & Co. in Speightstown, the old Church of the Nazarene opposite First Caribbean, just to give you a
yes, I know where you
point
mean.
of reference. And we are going to be having The Mighty Afrin, as well as A Revolution on Canvas, which is a U.S. Iranian film, on the Saturday. And that's at 3 o'clock on Friday and 12 o'clock on the Saturday. So we have some day screenings. And for those who are going to come down from the south, we're during the day, so you can just wander on down.
Understood. So what about the Great British documentary? So we let people know where that's going to be seen.
Yes, that's going to be at the Barbados Museum, 7 p.m.
Right.
We're going to have Joan in with us. So we're going to have a fantastic discussion.
Okay.
We're going to get a sensibility. She's going to talk about in her entire story, her style of making the film, and of course, any questions you may have.
Cine Cuisine.
Cine Cuisine, Hayman's Market on Thursday the 18th.
Okay.
At the Hayman's Market, we'll be featuring the film Common Good.
Invisible Beauty.
Invisible Beauty is our red carpet Caribbean gala. I say Caribbean gala because, you know, exquisiteness flows when we think of Caribbeanness. It's the red carpet.
Okay. Yes.
Cocktail reception. We're going to be having Quaco Jelani. We're going to be having the BCC, and we're also having beautiful fashion designers and
we
accessories.
spoke to the workshops already.
Yes, please.
And we want, actually, just to call out, so
Yeah.
if you're coming to the gala, wear your finest kind of gala clothes, just go high fashion, go full out. We want everyone to dress up as much as
Full
possible
out.
to celebrate.
Full
Yes,
out.
full out.
So where are these workshops going to be?
We're going to be at Parachute Studios this Saturday.
Where
in
is
Warrens.
Parachute?
We're in Warrens Industrial Park. Can I
Warrens
describe it
in-
as?
yes,
The Wanacard Plaza end.
Yeah, there'll be
Oh,
signs
on
that-
the route to Jackson.
Yes, please, that
Okay.
entrance.
Yes.
So you just come in there, take the second left and the first left. And it really is
If
a
you
hidden
see-
secret.
I would
So
say if
will
you
the
see
lighting workshop be in the same
the lighting
locale?
workshop and the acting workshop, but
Okay.
I think our landmark is Ocean Fisheries, which everybody knows.
Oh,
So we're
okay, just opposite that.
Ocean
The Ocean
Fisheries.
Fisheries.
Yes,
Okay,
and,
so
um,
we
George
should be
Harris
able to
Electrical.
find you.
Yes, in the back of George Electrical.
Then
We're very good location.
Good.
And on Sunday we've got an extensive acting workshop. So that's a really in-depth for 4 hours with Gary Swanson.
Okay.
And that's happening at St. Joseph.
Yes, it is.
where in St. Joseph?
St. Elizabeth Village.
Yes, but
A lovely residence, Papiote. Papiote.
Okay, I think
Yes.
you all need to make sure and
Yes.
send some directions
Yes,
for this one.
it's literally above Bathsheba. So if you even come down Horse
Okay.
Hill, yeah, you know the
Right.
St. Elizabeth
So
School is your big
Invisible
landmark.
Beauty as well.
And that's the Saturday night, and that's our gala presentation. And we'll be featuring even Raj Paul be on display, Shanika Burnett, Catherine Rochford. So even if you forget your accessories will be there, and maybe you want to.
Okay, so I can come and get dressed at the gala.
That is correct.
Awesome,
It is
awesome.
it's a fantastic
Shorts on the
fashion-
beach.
Shorts on the beach. We are going to be at the Southern Palms Hotel, which is just at the end of St. Lawrence Gap and the start of Dover. Come right through. Beautiful venue. We're going to be on the beach. Bring your chairs, bring your
Okay.
picnic baskets.
Right.
Bring your
and
fun.
also too, these things aren't free. So where
No.
can we go?
You can go to ticketpal.com or to our website, barbadosfilmfest.com, and all TicketPal box offices, which Lucky Horseshoe, Abbeville, Digicel Sky Mall, CS Pharmacy, Emerald City.
And the list goes on.
And the list,
So there's-
wherever you are, tickets are honestly
available.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're going to have a great week.
Yes,
I
we
want to
are.
thank you ladies for coming, and here's wishing you an awesome film festival.
Thank
and
you.
we'll get to hear more about it as the week progresses, because we want to immerse ourselves fully in the
Yes,
culture.
brilliant.
We want to thank DeCarla and Sena for joining us this morning. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the four ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Wendy. Good morning. We are back, and I am here with Mr. Andrew Reid, the director of the Black Arts Production Theatre in the United Kingdom. Now, while Andrew works along with this organization, he also wears a number of other hats, including trade unionism. A lot of different things that, you have been doing. Now, this company has been around from 1992.
Yes.
Right? What was one of the main aims of the formation of this particular black theatrical company?
Well, the company was started with the inspiration from my brother Richard Reid, who is the actor himself. And when he finished doing his training, he found that there was a lack of opportunities for black people to perform in the stage and write and direct their own material. So what he decided to do was create something for his own. So what we do is provide a platform for dramatic arts for the black community. And that's really what we do.
What you do,
and we transform people like yourself, and people like me, ordinary people, into something different. Somebody that can perform on stage, somebody that can communicate better at work, communicate better as a parent or as a sibling.
Right. So we're not just training only for on screen, but we're doing theatrical training to help people to enliven and enhance their everyday mode of conduct.
That's right. And drama builds up so much confidence within people, Okay. And within our organization, we give people opportunity to write as well. So there's other skills that can come out. And if after a while you don't feel so good in front of the camera, we try and do other things to bring you into behind the scenes, like marketing, PR.
Which is what you do for the organization.
Yes.
And you also have some Barbadian roots, yes?
My parents are, yes.
Good. Now, how has that helped to influence some of the productions that you would have done?
Well, predominantly, growing up in London, in Tottenham, we have a very high Jamaican, a lot of people from Jamaica, but it's also good to hear that there's the other islands that are in the UK, and Barbados is one of them. So in our performances, we try to be a bit more diverse. So we have the Bajan language, we have Trinidadian language, the Dominican, we're all the same, but slightly different. But we try to show these things on the stage and try to be more diverse in our languages and then about the Caribbean languages.
Now, in terms of the language and putting it out there, that dynamic that you just spoke to in terms of the melting pot of cultures, a lot of it came with the Windrush. And you've also done something to commemorate the 75th anniversary.
That's right, yeah. We produced a show just recently, which was produced at the Burning Grants Arts Centre in Tottenham, which was a sellout audience of over 250. Well, Welcome to England was the title, and it was written from our perspective as people who are first generation born, what we see what is the legacy of the Windrush, what was it all about. And I think it's an important story that should be told and continue to be told locally, nationally, and globally, because it gives inspiration to the others to let them know what they went through and how they overcome the objections and the obstacles that face them at that time. So it's a way of just helping, embracing, and certifying what we've done basically.
Okay, and we're going to get to see some of what you've done because we are going to be looking at one of your sketches, Finding a Job.
Finding a Job. So
tell me a bit about it first.
Finding a Job is written by one of our performers named Janet, and it basically tells us about a lady who lives in South London, Brixton, which is mainly where a lot of our black people went to, Brixton and West London. And she went into what we call a white, more middle class area to get a job as a nursery teacher. And then she's obviously seen what she's seen on the streets.
Yeah.
No blacks, no
we'll see how it
dogs
unfolds. Finding a Job.
Excited to be here in the motherland. They say they need help to build up back the country, so here I am, I come. The Queen herself sent for me, Oh yes, sent for me, and here I am. I'm so excited. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very excited to be here. Very excited. Let me tell you about the journey coming over here. You've heard of the Windrush?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you about the Windrush. The Windrush never rush at all. It took me 4 weeks to get here. 4 weeks! And people, I'm allergic to the sea. So the queasiness, oh gosh, the queasiness, my stomach. But on the days that the sea was behaving himself, oh, what a joy. The music, the people, the reggae, and the soca. And ladies, let me tell you, there was some very nice gentlemen on that ship. There was one particular one, oh, he had the shiny little curls in his hair and the side parting. Oh, Sylvester. I digress, let me come back. So I'm here to get a job, and I'm hoping that getting a job is not going to be as difficult as finding somewhere to live. Lord, me and my friend Sandra just walk up and down. You know what we did see? Signs. Yes, we saw the signs. No blacks, no dogs, and no Irish. I say, hold on a minute. How you gonna put me in the same category as dog? You sent for me to come from a pretty sunshine island to do what? Sleep on your dirty grey streets then? That you did tell me was paved with gold that I haven't seen yet? No, that's foolishness. That's like me inviting you to my house for dinner. And when you reach, I peek round the curtain and I say, I don't like your shoes, you're not coming in.
Was finding a job. No, that is quite West Indian. You start to talk about everything under the sun, and then you backtrack to what is really you're there to do.
Yeah, well, I love that sketch. It does really highlight what people actually went through, and the obstacles that you had to face, and having qualifications. Your qualifications not quite certain, either you're overqualified or you're underqualified.
But it seems all the way though as though it's still an excuse not to hire you. Either way. And some people can still relate that to today, and that's why that came in, because we're talking about legacy and what continues to happen today, especially with the people coming from the Caribbean today. They're either overqualified or underqualified. They never really have the right qualification, and and sometimes they have to redo their qualifications just to get fit into the job. Now, in terms of Andrew, the individual, and knowing those stereotypes and pressures that Caribbean migrants have been placed under in the UK, how do you weave that into what you do in the trade union aspect of it, by ensuring that individuals understand what their rights and privileges really are within that workforce space?
Yeah, well, as you say, I fight for social justice, and a lot of my time is representing a lot of black people within the workplace, and how they become actually involved in these issues at work. And it's sometimes very surprising why people get into these situations, you know, there's a lot of sometimes prejudice and racism, not understanding one other's cultures, you know. So through my work as a trade unionist, I not only represent, but I try to educate the other side as well, the company. So I represent the employee, but I also try to educate the company and try to show that there's different ways of how you can go about things.
Yes.
Rather than doing it that way, because that way, if you was me, I'm going to take it to the tribunal. That's why I like to end up in court where...
You like court?
Yeah. That's where the truth will really come out. But in the local level, you know, I go into the workplace, deal with a lot of grievances, disciplinaries.
And so on.
Yeah.
Okay. You've also dabbled with politics.
I have, yes. I get involved in my local area, what's going on. I ran in the last local election, I think it was 2017, 2018.
Yes.
And I got 120 votes. I needed 2,000 though.
Oh,
but don't worry.
But you can come again.
I could come again.
You can come again. Stronger platform.
But what I did show the local party at the time was that they need to listen to the people, okay? Because I took 120 votes from them. They want to know how. But what I did was actually go to the people, do some research with them and find out what their main issues were, stuff were. So that's what I did, and that's why I gained the 120. And I believe Motley done exactly the same thing and won a landslide election twice.
Okay then. So there's
you gotta
hope. You
yes,
keep fighting.
once you find out exactly what the people want, that is the key to
getting them there.
Yeah.
And some of the keys you find too as well are in how you direct the company in terms of the productions and getting the word out there and showing the community that they too can be a part of it.
Yeah, well, the type of work we do, that, especially what my brother likes to do, is all about what we call edutainment. So we have a bit of fun, but we also try to educate the community. So being the company that we are and the way me and my brother are, we got involved in a lot of anti-knife, anti-gun.
That's a big one now, the knives.
Yeah, so we started with the guns at first, and through our lobbying, I think we actually changed some things and made it like, you know, a lot of people said the 5-year, if you got caught with a gun at that time, now you get 5 years. But then they left the gun and they're now going to knives. So knives are now a big issue in our community, and people walk with them, why they walk with them. So we've done a lot of work with that, and we got involved in the schools, going to schools, dealing with exclusions. Exclusion was another big area that causes these people to be recruited into that world.
Okay, let's look now at your time here in Barbados and whether or not you have any collaborations planned with your production company and those here in Barbados.
Well, I'm here in Barbados not only as a holiday, I also in my birthday month as well. And, you know, I'm here to just make connections. You know, the story of the Windrush, you know, Barbadians played a very important part and role in that. You know, they were actually came here to be hired straight from here to jobs in the UK. You know, I believe that the Barbadians coming into the London Transport at that time helped save the company from going bust. You know, these stories need to be told, and I'm here to just help create some sort of collaboration between us, some cultural exchange. You know, money that has revolved, it could be via Zoom or something like that. You know, we can work in creating more writers here, creating schools where they can learn more about drama and acting skills. You know, because we've had some success in what we're doing. If I went like that, I don't know if you know that is from Wakanda.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, Letitia Wright was one of our students when we started the junior class many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we had her in her early days, and now she's gone on to do
big
great
things,
really great things now.
Big things, which
but
is
you know,
awesome.
between us and Barbados, until we can work together, I'd like to meet your Minister of Culture. You know,
and you just missed some of our independent film producers.
Right, I know you have a film
A festival, so let's hope you can take in some as well.
Well, I hope next time that maybe we come, we can actually enter one of those.
That would be great.
You know,
maybe you can enter JA Comes to England or one of the other new pieces that you're going to do.
Yeah, because the show is still very much in development stage, and we're looking to produce it quite a few more times within the UK and probably take the story out of the UK as well. You know, as I said, it's a story that must be told, and the recognition must be laid down to bear on film.
Okay, so who is JA?
JA is for Jamaica. It's
Jamaica.
Jamaica comes to England. Yeah, so you will know a little bit about that sketch, and we'll just quickly go into
interesting. Yeah, because I'm thinking JA is an individual.
That sketch was very interesting, really, because a lot of us in the UK, we had to the surprise of a new sibling coming into the thing, because a lot of people, when they left, especially Barbados, they left children behind. So this is part of how
let's see how it unfolds and develops, because it was great having you. There's so much we could talk about this morning, but limited time. So let's just take a look quickly at JA Comes to England.
Dad be here in a minute.
Yeah, you left at like 5 a.m.
What's that? Oh, left about 5. Do you know what? I think he's got a new girlfriend.
You serious?
Yeah, I think because Mum's dead about 20 years now. I think he needs the company. Hurry up, sweep that pile up.
I heard him talking to me on the phone.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Nah, this is so good. Like, maybe one day we could double date, once I get all on the road. You know what I mean?
Nah, not bad. He's here,
Big John, Nicola.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, darling. Come.
Daddy, hi.
Yes.
What's all that?
Hold on. I thought you were going to tidy the place up.
We've done the best that we could,
Nah, I'm only joking. You've done a good job still. You've done a good job. The tree away.
What's all that?
Well, I told you I've got a surprise for you, innit? Come, Luella.
Hello, hi.
She's Luella.
Hi.
I like hugs, you know what I mean? I love hugs.
Okay, Lurlin, this is my big son, Bradley. And this is Nicola.
Yeah. Dad, she's a bit young for you, not that I'm complaining.
What? How you mean young for me? Huh? Listen, I told you I got a surprise for you, yeah?
Yeah.
This are your sister, Lurlin.
Come again?
Yeah? This are your big sister, Lurlin. Nicola?
No, hang on a minute.
You always said that you wanted a sister.
Yeah. That's before.
What do you mean tell you before? I'm telling you now.
Dad, you can't just do that. You should have told us before.
How you mean? Before when? When would have been a good time?
Dad, come on, if you didn't tell us about it, how do you expect us to react?
What? If I told you.
Morning. Good morning to you.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're back. We are going to be talking cheerleading this morning. Yes, we're going to have the Barbados Cheerleading Federation with us. I want to welcome Dana Dare, who's the interim Federation committee member, and Micah Waldron, who's a cheerleading coach as well as a club owner. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Right. Now let's get straight to it. What is the BCF?
The Barbados Cheerleading Federation is the governing body for cheerleading in Barbados. We're ICU recognized, which means International Cheer Union recognized. That's our governing body, the international governing body. And basically, the Barbados Cheerleading Federation, our mission is to grow cheerleading, make it an accessible sport for all, both boys and girls of all ages, and to just share the love that we have for our sport with the island.
Okay.
Just incorporate it into our culture, incorporate it into everything that we do.
Now, Michael, what are some of the goals of cheerleading? And if you were to describe to somebody unfamiliar with it, what is cheerleading?
So cheerleading is, as Dana just said, a sport. Cheerleading is everything. Cheerleading encompasses dance, it encompasses gymnastics, what we call tumbling. It has building, which what we call stunts. So it's a lot of things. You can have, you build a family, right? It's community based. It is a fun space. It is a safe space for children to what we say, burn energy, to become a part of something bigger than itself, right?
All right. Now, Dana, in terms of cheer, you talk about a performance cheer. Well, how is the performance cheer different to, say, just a regular practice drill, what have you?
Okay, well, performance cheer is more so jazz-based. It's more with pom-poms. A lot of what we would see here at the parades, like Whole Town Parade and Oysters Parade, that's more performance cheer. Okay. So that's a different aspect of cheerleading. There's also competitive cheerleading, which is more, as Michael would have described, with stunts and jumps and tumbling, and all the athletes are competing against each other. But the performance cheer is a more united camaraderie, engaging with the crowd, engaging with everybody, and just a fun time for the kids.
Okay. Now back to you, Micah. When I see these youngsters, for me, it's all the same kind of thing because some of the routines are the same. How, as a judge, do you determine how you score? What methodologies used to determine who's the better cheer group?
Okay, so when you go to competitions, there are levels. So let's start there. There are levels in cheerleading. So when you go to competition, you are in a particular level, depending on if your team is level 1 and we go up to level 6. So if you're competing at a level 1 competition, there are certain stunts required, certain jumps, there are rules, right? So we follow the rules, and depending on if you hit your stunts clean, if your hand grips are correct, you hit full score. If then you have flyers overturning or rotating out of place, then you lose points. If you drop stunts, you lose points. So it really depends on the execution, the excellent execution of your routine on the day.
So do we have any level 6s here?
And at the moment, no. COVID did hit the sport very hard, and we are rebuilding a lot of programs at these high schools, at the secondary schools and the primary schools now. So most of the teams are level 1 through 2, and hopefully with enough support from Barbadians, we'll be able to get to level 6.
And from the Federation?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, if I, Micah, have somebody who's interested in getting into the sport, boy or girl, what's the best option for them to join?
It depends. Different teams operate differently. If it is a high school team, you go through your school. There are some schools that don't have teams, and that's why we're here to promote
create
this
the community development project. Yes.
Okay.
Which will basically we'll be offering free sessions, basic sessions to introduce children to cheerleading, and get them to open up their minds a little bit about what the sport really is. And it is obviously free of cost because the National Sports Council has graciously assisted us with creating this development project. And that's one of the best ways we can say that if you are interested in cheerleading, come to these workshops and
get the training and let's start.
Yeah.
All right. So you're traveling in April?
Yes, please. We have a Palm Doubles team, which is performance cheer, and they're going to compete at the World Championships. So that's against about 70 different countries from all across the world come to Orlando Disney to compete and just put their best out there, and hopefully they carry home a trophy.
Okay, so let's hope that Barbados does well. Now we're going to take a break, and when you come back, you'll get to see what this cheer is all about.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're now going to see the Harrison College cheerleading squad and all that they do.
Little boy, how we looking? What the artist? Look, if you know that you got a rubber waist, I like to walk us about it, the show up on your face. I like to walk us about your muscle on the next day. Belt waistline, misbehave and get over the belt waistline. From the time I start to drink some alcohol, it's waistline. When the beat drop in the party and you hear the bassline, don't even waste time, look, just start to belt waistline. Misbehave and get over the belt waistline. From the time I start to drink some alcohol, it's waistline. When the beat drop in the party and you hear the bassline, don't even waste time, look, just start to belt waistline. I could walk it slow, I could walk it fast, and if you feel you got a lot of reverse it, let me and you bump up crash. This waistline come with different strokes and fully active for a man coat. The way getting on, you could tell for sure. And when they out in the party, my waistline does get on retarded. I don't even care who record it, cause I like to get on bad. Make sure the knees strong for the concrete. I going down to the ground where your boss say 30 seconds, so walking up then the people can't believe I can still belt waistline. Misbehave and get on by the belt waistline. From the time I start to drink some alcohol, it's waistline.
So that was a demonstration from the Harrison College cheerleading team, and they demonstrated for you a double base thigh stand, and they also went straight to a what we call a prep position, and they transitioned to a teddy bear sit. And then in the tumbling section, there was a demonstration on a cartwheel. We also did a front walkover and a round off.
Okay, now that's awesome what Micah took us through. And we want to thank both Micah and Dana Dare for being here with us this morning to talk all about the Federation and what those cheerleaders were doing. Now, it's been an awesome morning. We have the film festival. We wish the cheers good luck in April. But tomorrow, before we go, we're going to have conversations on CARICOM with His Excellency Ambassador David Thomas Shaw. And we'll also do a little bit more on this drug Prevention and Awareness Month. So let's thank the cheers from 8C. Cheer for me. Yay! Cheer for Micah and cheer for Dana. Have a great morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.